Hey, Ryan. Am I Wolverine or am I Freddy Krueger?
You're definitely Wolverine because Freddy had 4. Wolverine had 3. Do you not know how to count?
Okay, give me a sec.
In the meantime, let's get that intro.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, now you're more like Freddy.
Yeah.
But a lot less sharp.
I wasn't gonna tape these to my fingers because that was way too much work.
Yeah.
Welcome to Razz My Berries. I'm Sam.
I'm Ryan.
And this is the beginning of our Halloween month. This month we will be reviewing 4 classic Halloween movies. And today we will be starting with Nightmare on Elm Street.
This was my first time watching the whole thing.
This was my first time watching the entire thing. I've seen from about 20% into the way of the film to the end. Shall we jump into the ending first?
Sure, why not? What better way to start from the end?
Yeah. When I first saw it, I didn't realize that this movie had sequels. And I didn't realize that they
had sequels.
Didn't pay attention, and also the sequels were pretty bad, so people don't talk about them.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so it gets to the end of the movie, and I'm like, I don't know what just happened here. Why are they just going to give us a bad ending?
I had to get on my computer and try to understand what the heck just happened, because I was like, wait, she beat Freddy, but now she's in another dream? Was she dreaming the whole time?
Well, and that's a really good question. How long during the movie was she actually dreaming?
Yeah. For some people, from what I've read, that's part of the appeal of their movie for them, because it's like it leaves you in that state of mind of what happened, and it messes with your head with, was she dreaming or was she not? There was like 4 different endings. Wes Craven had the idea of, Freddy lost and
having your stereotypical happy ending.
Yep, and then a different writer who I don't know the name of came up with the other ending, and then
they had 2 other endings that were kind of a mix between the 2.
Yep, and then they ended
up with one of those.
Mm-hmm. I like stereotypical endings, but I mean, like you said after we watched it, you said this ending it opens up for more sequels.
Yeah, and I mean, I would assume that they had plans for the sequel by the time that they finished with the first one.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It still bugged me a lot.
I don't know. Watching it back when I didn't know that there were sequels, I thought it was a good subversion. Not too many movies end on that low of a note. Okay, so I'm going to say this. I am not a very good horror movie watcher because I've seen so many bad horror films from the Sci-Fi Channel enough to know like, I just don't get scared. I don't get scared with these things. And you watched me laugh throughout the movie about like when we first even see Freddy chasing after Tina, and he goes, "Oh, I'm gonna get you! Well, you can run, but you can't hide." Well, and I think that this movie did that intentionally. I think it did too, because the humor didn't feel forced. Yeah. So, I would argue that they did put in the comedic element intentionally. Most of the characters running, I did not buy it seriously. Yeah. It's like, I want to get away from Freddy, but I don't want to overexert myself. At the same time, you think, have you ever had a dream where you've been running? Not to that I can recall on the top of my head. Well, when you're asleep, your
body sends out this chemical that paralyzes you, just so that you're not tossing and turning. And when I'm running or trying to shout out, my body doesn't produce enough of that, because I've had times where I wake up shouting. And also, running in your dreams, for me, always seems like I just cannot get anywhere.
I have a lot of flying dreams where I'm able to, like, levitate and fly through. I've had a dream where I was levitating and flying through the school. It's like, okay, guys, I'll see you in gym class. And it was cool, and I loved that. But, I honestly don't recall if I've ever ran in any of my dreams. And I'm sure I probably have, but I just can't recall my dreams very well. I've had nightmares where, like, I have woken up, like, heck, there was one nightmare I had when I woke up and I fell off the bed. And I find myself on the floor from it.
I did that with... when I was a kid, this wasn't even due to a nightmare. I had just been tossing and turning so much in my sleep that I had rolled... It was winter, so, I had a fair number of blankets on my bed, and I had twisted myself up in my blankets and then fell off my bed. And I had to call for my mom because I couldn't get out.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. What has been your worst nightmare that you can remember?
Oh, gosh. Probably, if anything, my worst nightmare had to be anything where somebody close to me has died. Like, when my wife, Crystal, I've had one nightmare where she actually got murdered and she was gone, and that one was my worst. I'd definitely say that was my worst nightmare. No, I woke up from that dream, and I turned immediately to Crystal, and she was there, and I was relieved, but I was still, like, it took me a while, a few good, maybe 10 minutes just to relax and go back to sleep, because I was convinced that I had just watched my wife killed.
Yeah. I've had a dream similar to that. I wouldn't exactly call it a nightmare. But my ex-girlfriend, I didn't see her murdered, but I was at her funeral. It was while we were in college, and it was during the summer, so, she was like 4 or 5 hours away from me. And I woke up from that dream, and it was like a really warm Sunday afternoon. It was one of those heat-induced dreams. And I woke up, and I was still convinced that she was dead.
Jeez.
It took me 3 full days to get it out of my head that she was dead. My worst nightmare, though, I must have been about 2. I guess it's kind of a gray area as to whether this was a nightmare, because I wasn't technically asleep. This is luckily the only time I've experienced this, but sometimes you can wake up and your brain is acting kind of weird, and for some people they still have the sleep paralysis going on, but they're fully awake and yet still dreaming. It's a hallucination. And I was in my bed, and again, I didn't have the sleep paralysis, but this was such a vivid hallucination that I can still remember this
clearly,
like 23 years later. So my bed is in the corner facing my door, and up on top of my door is this little stuffed Clifford, and it barks and jumps and gets bigger and goes down below my headboard. And I look around and see my headboard, and up comes this giant spider, and then it goes back down.
I think you need help.
Yeah. So that was my worst experience.
Yeah. when I was watching this the first time, I really liked the score. I honestly think the music can be chilling if you try to get into the movie, and I really enjoyed that. But it also kind of hurts the film as far as, like, I don't get scared. I know when jump scares are happening. The music definitely hints at when it's going to happen, and it, like, blasts at you and it tries to scare you.
The music, to me, felt like they didn't do the best job at mixing it.
Yeah.
There were parts that were way too loud.
Yeah.
And not even that they were covering up any dialogue. It's just that they were way too loud.
Yeah. And honestly, that was the annoying thing when I watched this the first time, because I had my air conditioner going and I was trying to find the right volume, because at times it get really loud, but then it's so they talk so quiet. The audio is so quiet that I can barely hear what they're saying, which is why I always put subtitles just in case, so I know what they're saying. As far as, like, other flaws with it, I didn't really care for the characters too much. I mean, I kind of feel bad saying that I didn't really care about the characters, but it's hard to get attached to characters in horror movies in general, because they basically are there to be
killed off.
And I think Nightmare on Elm Street was one of the beginning of, it was like the start of the slasher, because we had Halloween that really started, and then we got Friday the 13th, and then this thing came out, and it was like it was the beginning of the momentum of slasher films.
Obviously, Tina died so early in the movie that she didn't really leave that much of an impact on me.
Yeah. The fact that they, like, we're following this girl, okay, so this is going to be our main character, and then she just dies that soon, I thought that was interesting and different, because it's like, oh, wow, I wasn't expecting that. I thought we were going to be with Tina till the end, but nope. She died!
I will say, Johnny Depp's character, who...
Glenn.
Glenn, he doesn't look like Johnny Depp.
No, he does not.
He looks like...
Because he was that
Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick, yeah.
He looks a bit more like Matthew Broderick in this film.
A little bit, yeah.
Nancy's parents didn't do much to help.
I think that was intentional.
Movie. Well, yeah, it was intentional, but it just doesn't do much for their character.
No, it doesn't really. I mean, do you feel like it does anything for the story?
Her mom was definitely there as the plot device to explain the backstory.
Which, okay, anybody who is a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan, please comment below if any of the movies explain exactly how Freddy became this way. He was burned alive, but how the heck does that mean he suddenly now can invade dreams and kill people in their dreams?
I just kind of assume that, he's just a ghost and...
with supernatural powers to affect the living. Story
magic.
I like when they do kind of explain that, because that adds to the mythology to it.
Well, in the Simpsons parody, Groundskeeper Willie placed a curse on them as he died.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
He's trying to figure out how to incorporate that episode into this.
Yeah. Oh, wait, yeah, I do have one more criticism, now that I think of it. The amount of blood in this movie is, especially Johnny Depp's character's death, the whole shooting the blood out of the bed, I hated that scene, because, like, thinking about all that blood shooting out of a person, it just rubbed me the wrong way.
I mean, for me, I assume that entire part of the movie was while Nancy was still asleep. Your brain exaggerates quite a bit while you're dreaming. He was killed the same night that Nancy killed Freddy.
So I guess we can move on to positives, and I really liked Tina's death scene. I liked it because I was impressed because they had her floating and it looked, for the most part, really natural floating, and then they had her up on the ceiling while Rod was still shown like sitting clearly down, and we know the whole thing where they build a set where it can move the room around, and I'm like, wow, how did they manage to do that with Rod still sitting clearly?
I would say one of two ways. Either they put him in front of a green screen, or they put him into some sort of harness in that set while they had
that could have
Tina on the ceiling and put like a stationary camera behind him.
Oh yeah, because you didn't get to see, like, he could have had a harness easily. Okay, yeah, I'll get to the most thing I loved about the movie. Monster being able to invade your dreams and kill you in your most, like, you feel like dreaming is your safe spot, and that's why I've always been intrigued and I've always wanted to watch some of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies because of the fact that it's a very interesting concept. I loved
Unfortunately, the later ones are pretty bad.
That's what I heard. So and now I'm a little hesitant to watch any of them.
Well, maybe next year we can do this same thing again, but with the sequels.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know if you've noticed, but every movie that we're doing this month has a sequel.
Yeah, it does. It does. I liked Freddy's design. I love Wes Craven's idea of... I was reading it. He got the idea for Freddy's weapon from infomercials and cats.
Huh.
He got the idea from cats because they have those retractable claws.
Yeah.
And he thought, that'd be kind of cool if you had, like, knives on your hand. And I thought, I love Freddy's weapon. It's different. It's not your typical, I'm going to hack you up with a knife or a hatchet.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Freddy as a character?
I know they do a lot more in the sequels, developing his character and giving him a much more distinctive personality. But, for the most part, in this movie, I thought his character was fine.
Yeah.
He had an understandable motivation. But the thing that has always kind of got me thinking was, why now? Why these 4 kids?
I don't know when he died, around what age these kids were at, but I thought of it this way. It's like, because I had the same thought after watching. It's like, why didn't he just go after the parents? And then I thought, well, if I were a crazy, deranged, murdering psychopath... Child murderer. Yeah, sorry.
So,
crazy, insane child murderer.
So yeah, the motive is there. He's a child murderer going after more kids.
Yeah.
But why now? And why these
sooner?
Particular kids?
Well,
I suppose maybe if...
The particular kids, I think it's because the parents who were responsible for killing him were their parents.
I know that's what they did in The Simpsons. And they made it a lot clearer in The Simpsons.
Yeah.
That groundskeeper Willie was going after the kids
whose parents
let him sit there and burn during the PTA meeting.
Now, yeah, I had some other fun facts I just remembered. So the story, actually, Wes Craven was inspired by it was based on a group of immigrant teens that died during their sleep from supposedly horrible nightmares. So that's how he got the inspiration for that. And then Freddy was the name of a bully who bullied Wes Craven. And so that's where he got the name for that. The story overall, I think... I enjoyed the story.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Again, different from any other slasher films when you're comparing it to Halloween or Friday the 13th. It's a nice own little corner. I enjoyed my first experience watching it.
even though it's not. I don't think it's as great as everybody says it is.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
I think people probably like the idea of Freddy more than they like the movie.
So let's go. We're going to go. I couldn't find anything on Twitter. I couldn't find anything even with a hashtag A Nightmare on Elm Street. So we're going to go over to Rotten Tomatoes and read some of the reviews. So this one's from Paul Atanasio.
The script is consistently witty. The camera work by cinematographer
Jacques Hughes. Sorry, I got that from
Jacques Haitkin. Crisp and expressive.
Yeah, I mean, the script. I mean,
yeah, the camera work is definitely great.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. Next we have from J.R. Jones. Craven vitalizes the nightmare sequences with assorted surrealist novelties. Yeah. From Variety Staff. A highly imaginative horror film that provides the requisite shocks to keep fans of the genre happy. Because, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of fans of this kind of thing. And I know a lot of people who go to Comic-Con dressed up as Freddy Krueger.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we're going to leave it at that. Because, again, there weren't really a lot of different reactions.
Yeah.
So I guess now we'll move on to rating.
Nope. Favorite points.
Oh, favorite points.
Favorite part of the movie.
All right. I forgot. My bad. Honestly, I really do like when Tina sees him again. The whole where his arm is stretching. Come here, I want a hug. and the whole is this is God. I like that scene. It's a piece of it's an iconic scene, and I quite as ridiculous as Freddy's run chasing after her is. I really do love that scene.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I think my favorite part was the part where Nancy lit Freddy on fire. They get him lighting everything else on fire and running up the stairs. And then you get the little fire footprints through the living room and up the stairs. I thought that was just really well done.
Yeah. So, with everything being said, and this being now my second time seeing the movie and going off my first initial experience with it, I can see why people like it. I can see why there's such a big following. I think Freddy as a character is very interesting. That was one of the things that got me interested in even wanting to see the film at all, was because I liked the Freddy character and the concept of monster invading your dreams. But there's quite a bit of things that just I couldn't take too seriously, and I think it's probably, like I said, I'm not a very good horror movie watcher, so it's really hard for me to get into these movies. So when any horror movie actually can get me into it, then I give it extra kudos and extra points. So with that said, I feel most comfortable giving it a 3.5. Because it just wasn't scary to me. The concept, yes, is scary, but I couldn't get pulled into it. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, Freddy's performance, the overall story I can appreciate, but as far as an experience wise, I just feel more comfortable giving it a 3.5.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to give it a 4. It's good. It's really good, but it is lacking in some areas. Just especially some of the characters. Some of them are kind of weak and underdeveloped.
Yeah, I didn't care. I mean, I wouldn't have cared if I didn't really care if they all died. Quite honestly,
I don't know. They might have all died.
Yeah,
but I mean, as you said, it's a great concept, and they acted just fine, and special effects weren't too
terrible.
bad.
No, there's some pretty impressive parts in there.
But yeah, 4 out of 5.
So, adding all together, 3.5 plus 4 is 7.5 out of 10. So, if you're a huge fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street, leave us a comment below. Tell us why you love this so much. You know, I understand it's a big part of pop culture and all that, so we want to hear from what you think. Be sure, if you like the video, click like, subscribe. We now have a Facebook page, so you can go there and like us on Facebook. Go to Twitter, follow us on Twitter, and I think I've spilled everything.
So join us next week for another movie from our classic Halloween movie collection. All videos will be posted Friday in our countdown to Halloween.
All right. Well, bye.
Bye.